What's up, guys? Today we're going to be looking at my bold predictions for the upcoming 2026 AFL season. We're going to be going through some awards and the ladder, and I'm going to let you guys know what I think is going to happen. So to kick things off, we're going to start with the Coleman Medal. And for the Coleman Medal, I've gone with Ben King. So Ben King had a very good year last year, and I think he's arguably one of the top 5 best forwards in the competition. And with Gold Coast off-season, they've added Christian Petrarca. They've managed to get a stronger list. So I think the ball's going to be down his end a fair bit. They've got quite an easy fixture going into the season. Their first 11 games of the year are against lesser opponents. They've got more games at home. They played their first finals last year, so I'm looking for a big season from Ben King. He's got all the capabilities to go and kick 70 goals, and I think this year's going to be the year he does it. Albeit he might have a few injury problems, so that might stop him. But apart from that, I think Ben King wins the Coleman Medal. Prediction, I'd say maybe 75 goals, and we'll see. So next up, we've got the Brownlow Medal, and I've picked Marcus Bontempelli. Yes, the Bont finally wins a Brownlow Medal after so many heartbreak years, finishing second, top 5, top 10. The Bont is finally going to get his Charlie. I think Bontempelli is primed for a huge 2026. The Bulldogs were disappointing last year, missing finals, and you can see the frustration on the Bont. He's the club captain, and he's arguably the best player in the competition, so I think the Bont finally gets his wish, and he gets a Brownlow Medal. He's going to average probably anywhere between 25 and 30 disposals. Their team's probably the best it's been since their 2016 Premiership. Missing finals, meaning they get an easier fixture. They win more games. Liberatore, moving into defence, probably frees up more votes for the Bont. And I think he wins the Brownlow Medal. So the next award we're going to look at is the NAB Rising Star. And I've chosen Lockie Doverston from the North Melbourne Football Club. So Lockie is a small forward. He was drafted, I think, pick 16. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. But this guy is a genuine freak. He can kick goals from anywhere. He plays with aggression. He can play on the wing. He can play half forward. He can play in the pocket. He's got that attitude that you want from a young kid coming into the league. You know, a lot of people compare him to like a Toby Green type player, so I'm really excited to see what he can do for the Kangas, who have been desperately needing a good small forward in that forward line, playing alongside Paul Curtis, Nick Larkey, Jack Darling. The Kangas are getting a decent forward line together this year, and with a good young midfield, the ball's going to be down there more, and I think he can definitely take the ball by the horns. And he could potentially kick 25, 30 goals playing in the small forward position. So, Lockie Doverston's my pick. Which brings us to our next category, Surprise All-Australian. So I'm going with someone who's going to be a first-time All-Australian, Ollie Dempsey from the Geelong Football Club. So if you've watched Ollie Dempsey play footy, you know he's an absolute excitement machine. The kids are gone. Like, he is just a freak on the footy field. He plays wing, can play in the midfield, can play up forward. His positioning, his IQ, and his talent is elite for someone who's new to the competition. He won the Rising Star Award, and he's just improved ever since. He was best on ground in a losing grand final, and every Cats fan knows Ollie Dempsey's primed for a big 2026. I think he takes a leap, becomes All-Australian, and really shows he's more than just a goal kicker. He can rack up the possessions, and he's going to be utilised very well with that elite tank of his, and I think that Ollie Dempsey kicks 40 goals. I know it's crazy for a winger, but I think he can do it. So, Ollie Dempsey, you're going to be an All-Australian in 2026. And the next category is the Premiership winner in 2026. And of course, Geelong. As a Geelong fan myself, it's a bit crazy to put us here. Recent history tells you a losing grand final side doesn't bounce back and make the grand final the next year, especially one that gets pumped by 10 odd goals. But I think Geelong have the list, the quality, the coaching, and everything to make sure 2026 is a winning season. They've added James Warple, Tanner Bruins coming back into the side. They've got a lot of young guys, Mitch Nevitt, Mitch Edwards, Jai Polkinghorn. So many guys kicking down the door to play senior footy in 2026. You've got out of form guys like Ollie Henry and Jake Kolajasny trying to make the best 22 in 2026. So it's going to be interesting to see which side Chris Scott selects going into round one. I think the Cats have all the talent, and I've got them as my Premiership winners in 2026, albeit a little bit biased. Now finally, I've got my top 10 prediction. I'm going to go through each team, and I'm going to talk about them for about 30 seconds. So let's start with 10th. I think the cliff is truly near for the Collingwood Football Club. They started last year like a house on fire. They were first for arguably 90% of the season, and then they just got hit by injuries. And I don't think that they've improved the list this year. They're a lot older. They rely too much on guys that are 35 plus. Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Moore, Howe, all these guys are getting older. They haven't necessarily made the moves necessary to improve their list. They're going to rely heavily on the Dacos brothers. Losing Myercheck doesn't help either. So it's going to be really hard for me to see the Pies being a real contender in 2026. But hey, you never know. They did it last year. They might do it again. Next, I've got the Hawthorn Football Club at 9. I just think their midfield's nowhere near as good as the rest of the competition. Will Day, 3 to 4 months injury, losing Warple to Geelong. They haven't really seen guys come through yet that can take the mantle from those guys. Losing out on Zach Merritt in free agency obviously didn't help. So I've got the Hawks kind of thereabouts. This one might probably come back to bite me, but I see them around the mark for finals. They're a well-coached side, and they'll still win games in 2026. It's just that I don't think they have what it takes to be a top 4 side, especially the rest of the teams stacking up on quality players. I think the Hawks are going to have to find something from nothing to really contend. Are they going to put some of the forward guys into the midfield, like McDonald, potentially Ginnivan, maybe even Watson? Who knows? So we're going to have to wait and see. But I have the Hawks in 9th. In 8th, I have Fremantle. To be honest, it's really hard to read where Fremantle are at. Sometimes they play like the best team in the competition. Sometimes they play like wooden spooners. I think that they've got quality players across the board. Their midfield stacks up against everyone else. Brayshaw, Sarong, you've got Jackson and Darcy in the ruck. They just need to stay healthy. And it's going to be a really big year for Longmire, whatever his name is. He's hasn't been coaching well. So this is probably going to be make or break for him as a coach. Are we going to see Fremantle play more of a 3 brand? Are they going to play more risk-taking footy? Or are they going to play safe and kick mark like they've done the past couple of years? But they've got an exciting forward line. Jai Amos, Josh Tracy. They've got guys that can kick goals. They've got a solid defence. So I've got them just making the top 8. In 7th, I've got the Sydney Swans. Obviously, missing out on a couple flags the past couple of years hasn't been easy for Sydney or their fans. Their list still is really, really good. Their midfield is just amazing. You've got Isaac Heaney, Chad Warner, Errol Gordon, Brodie Grundy. The list goes on. Adding Charlie Curnow this off-season has been huge, and I'm really excited to see what that does for their forward line. I think Joel Amati really struggled as a number 1 key forward. Logan McDonald missing the entire year through injury is not what you want. They couldn't find success. They missed finals, and I think Dean Cox's side is going to bounce back this year with the Swans making finals. So next, I've got the Adelaide Crows. So the Crows, they surprised everyone. They had a mid-season surge and managed to find themselves in first place. I was quite shocked. I'm sure you guys were too. And they got exposed in finals. They weren't that good, and they got found out. I expect them to be somewhat quality, and they'll push for top four, but I think they just miss out. I think middle of the pack is where I see them. Their midfield, slow. They haven't really had a guy break through there yet. Will Josh Rochelli play there? Dan Curtin kind of looked like the guy that was going to do it. He had an injury during pre-season. So Sid Draper might get some minutes. Who knows? I think that they're going to be relatively the same, but just other teams are better. So I've got the Crows finishing there. In fifth, I have GWS. I think their list is extremely good. Their forward line is as dangerous as any other teams. You've got a Coleman medalist in Jesse Hogan, Aaron Cadman, who's going to break through this year. So many guys that can find an avenue to goal. Their midfield is completely stacked. You've got Clayton Oliver coming across from Melbourne. So they're going to be looking to play top four footy. I've got them in fifth, only because they can't be trusted when it matters. They've had big leads. They've blown them in games. They probably should have made a prelim last year, but they didn't. So I have them fifth for now, but it wouldn't shock me if they ended up finishing in the top four and having a deep run come September. In fourth, I have the Gold Coast Suns. Like I explained earlier about Ben King, I think their list is just amazing. Ben King, Tuke Miller, Petrarca, Rao, Anderson, the list goes on. They're just stacked for talent, and they played finals for the first time last year, which was amazing to see. For the first time in the club's history, they were able to go to WA, get the win against Fremantle, and really show the competition. The Suns are here to stay. I think they go one step further this year, potentially make a prelim. They've got a lot of home games, soft fixture. I think they've got the perfect run to really make it deep this year. Their percentage is going to be huge. A lot of home games against trash teams. So, fourth spot for the Suns, which moves us into three, which is the Western Bulldogs. This one's probably a bit of a shocker, missing finals and then going to third. Look, I'm a big believer in Luke Beveridge's side. I think Sam Darcy is going to be the man that takes them there. Bontempelli, they've got young guys that are ready to take the mantle from the midfield. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of dynamic they have in 2026. Having some of the young fellas in the midfield with Bontempelli will give them a lot of speed and energy coming out of the middle. The new ruck rule is going to help with Tim English having to use his verticality instead of wrestling strength to kind of get those clearances. So I think the Bulldogs are going to be a stronger side. They've upgraded their defence. Connor Buderick from the Gold Coast Suns was a great get. They've got Buslinger in the VFL, who's surely going to break through, play a couple games in defence. So I think the Dogs are primed for a prelim or a grand final. They are absolutely starved of September, and I think 2026 is the year they're going to do it. Much like my Premiership prediction, at second I have Geelong, mainly because of the home games. They rarely lose at GMHBA. Their list is arguably better than 90% of the competitions, so I think that the Cats win enough games to get into the top two. Usually they get a soft draw towards the back end of the year. Games against West Coast, Richmond, North Melbourne, they boost the percentage and gets them a nice finish. So I think the Cats are going to finish top two and play against the Western Bulldogs in what should be a home final, but will most likely be played at the MCG. And speaking of the MCG, we have a number one, the team that won it all there last year, the Brisbane Lions. Their team is just so stacked to the brink where it just becomes laughable at how good they are. They've got young guys, veterans, just seasoned players, and they're just going to be there. Like, you've just got to accept the fact that the Lions are probably going to be the team to beat. Again, they've got Draper, a new ruck setup, which is going to be interesting to see how they figure that out. You know, young guys coming through. Obviously, the off-field drama of Lockie Neal. Is that going to be a distraction? I don't think so. Lions in first. So that's my ladder prediction for 2026. I'd like to hear what you guys think. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll be back for more footy videos this year.